What's up? Welcome back to Racing Dudes Doc.
Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello. What is up, everyone? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, October 2nd, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. Keeneland is back. One of the I would say top 4 or 5 tracks every single time it opens back up. So excited to have it. We've had an exciting September, really, in terms of by standards of horse racing, but things really get going now.
It's officially the last weekend. I mean, major weekend. They have some stragglers there, but the last major week. I mean, it's like kind of the final push. A lot of juvenile races. You know, we're still kind of trying to figure those out. Like we talked a little bit about last week's show, and we get to see a lot of that. You know, really across the country, whether it be Keeneland, like you mentioned, Santa Anita. We have the American Pharoah, aka the Bob Baffert Stakes. And then you've got like the Champagne, the Belmont Big A. So it's really across the board kind of, and obviously there's some we know, but this is going to get a good spot here to see which ones are for real or not. And then also I think the big headline race of the weekend is of course the Coolmore Turf Mile, which historically has shown, if not providing the winner of the mile, certainly shows like some of the top choices.
It's fun to see the European horses come over a race early. We saw it up at the Woodbine Mile. We saw it last week with Rebels Romance, and we'll see it this week with Diego Velasquez, a horse that I don't know about you, but I was very excited to bet last year, and he had to scratch. He came over and then scratched. So, they kind of hinted he would come over as a 2-year-old. They didn't do that. He did come over 3-year-old, but didn't run. We're finally getting him this weekend, so that's kind of exciting. Good to see the European horses come over early. I think that's very interesting. And also, the juveniles, big races, one big missing horse, and that is the Bob Baffert trained Brandt. He did not enter that race, but he did enter like all his other horses. So we'll see what happens. But I thought that was interesting. The biggest one of all supposedly did not enter.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. Is it like an issue, or is it like, hey, he's kind of shown that we don't like, he beat the who looks like the favorite of this race, and we don't really need to do anything here, so you don't want to do too much with them, maybe? Or do you think it's like, is it a negative that he's
100% a negative? You don't want your first time going 2 turns to be at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Ask Gaming, a horse that has flamed out like most of his do, but was pretty good at the time and probably would have won last year, but didn't have that 2-turn race under his belt. So it's a terrible negative for me. I think it's huge.
And just to be clear, it's like, again, we don't know, but you would assume, right, that all things being equal and normal in the plan, it would have been him running in this race, right? It wasn't like it's not like a move by Bob Baffert being like, no, we want the first time he goes 2 turns to be at the Breeders' Cup. So you have to at least look at it as in like something has occurred to where we're not going to run there.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that. That's all we can do. There's not going to be any transparency in this thing, and there's not going to be any truthfulness one way or another. That's what I would assume. You'd want to race around 2 turns before the biggest one of the year. I would think so. I think that's why you see his other horses entered everywhere, right? You know what I mean? He's entered at Keeneland. He's got 3 or 4 in the American Pharoah. So I think it's a negative for sure.
Shit, he got 4 in the Pharoah, I think, and like the 1 in the Futurity even. So I mean, they're running everywhere. So if you would think he would show up somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a negative for me for sure. And this is also the horse that his leg goes sideways when he runs, and so that I know everybody on Twitter is all over that. So I don't think it's a positive, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll break down the 2-year-olds this weekend. I mean, we'll really have a good idea. I think there's some heavy hitters. We're going to talk about all 3 of those races on the show, and may not matter. Even if Brandt shows up and runs a really, really big race, he might get beat because some of these horses are really good running this weekend.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about last weekend. obviously we had a ton of racing that went around the country. Anything that stood out to you? I mean, I'll start. I think the easy one is Rebels Romance, right? I mean, I thought he looked awesome, and obviously we kind of talked about him prior, to the race. Like, hey, if he were to win here, it kind of secures him. You'd assume with another shot to defend his title in the turf.
Look, I thought he was the star without any doubt. I thought he was the star of the show. Highest buyer by far, kind of a race of his own there against horses that aren't too bad, and he just kind of waxed them. So going to be a short price to the Breeders' Cup, but deservingly so. He was the big one. Baffert, that trend of, okay, when the races are in Southern California against my other horses / one or two other good horses, I win. That trend continued. I mean, Cavalieri with a big win despite not breaking well. Nevada Beach looked great, beating Full Serrano, and then Imagination looked really, really good too. Now the big storyline is going to be, okay, now when the tougher horses show up, will he be able to keep that going, and will he win, one or two or three Breeders' Cup races? So that'll be very interesting to track. But his horses ran extremely well, all off layoffs of certain degrees last week. So impressive with them. I'm trying to think past that. I think that's kind of the headliners. I can't really think of anything else that really jumped out at us last week.
I mean, I don't know. We've seen Rebels Romance win that race twice.
Yeah.
And he'll be going for 3, which I just got done doing the 14 trends, or at least the content for that, the guide that will be coming out. That is free, by the way, guys. So that is a kind of a supplement we do for the Betting Bible. All you have to do is be a subscriber. Really, on the back end, you don't even have to be a premium subscriber to get access to that. But I don't think there's been a 3-time winner of that race. Certainly not. I mean, we've seen back-to-backs. It's not happened very often, but a 3-time winner, I think he would be the first.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Three wins in 4 years would be pretty incredible. And I mean, again, I think he's in as good a form coming into this one as ever. Not that he was in bad form last year or the first year he won it. I think the first year he won, I think he'd won like 4 or 5 in a row. But anyway, he's in really good form. So yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see him. I've always loved that horse. I've won on him those 2 races that he won. Keeneland, he was 5-1, I think, or 6-1 maybe. So that was unbelievable. But yeah, look, I think the other thing I forgot, Mystic Dan, I thought ran pretty well, and he's going to go to the Dirt Mile, which I think is a really, really good call. So that's another one probably need to throw up from last week. Is like he ran well enough to say, yeah, he could compete in the Dirt Mile, and who knows who's going to be in it. But if he catches the right field, he could win it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of looking at it here. Rebels Romance again has won it twice. Years ago, well, not that long ago, 2008, 2009, Conduit won it back-to-back years, but never, no 3-timers at all that I can see. So certainly is something that, one, you don't really see a lot of, typically don't see the opportunity, right, that often to have a horse be that good, that, you know what I mean? I think, what is he, like 6 or 7 at this point? To run continuous in these big races. So that in itself is impressive. But yeah, to do it 3 times would be kind of insane. And I will say this, like, depends on who comes over, but Euros do dominate that race typically, and we certainly I don't feel like have like a horse that could compete with that.
No.
So I'm not. While Rebels Romance it's way too early for me to say, but like he'll definitely be the favorite, I would assume. It'll be interesting to see who else comes over, because if there is another horse that looks, we've seen it before where there's been a couple really good turf horses in that race. And if there is, maybe there's an opportunity there to try to beat them. But we'll talk about that more, obviously, as it gets closer.
That's going to tell the tale, because if very little European horses
Correct.
come over, they'll just say, we don't want to waste our time with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to go other spots. We don't think we can beat him. So that'll really tell the tale, and that'll also dictate the price, because there's just not going to be a horse that's been running in the United States. Look, like when you open the past performances, they're not going to match up with him. So if there is a light European, ship over a contingent other than him, he might be below even money. Like, he's going to look like a major standout compared to anything that's been running in the United States.
Yeah, it's like, is he not to compare him to Enable, but an Enabled kind of horse where you're like, okay, this horse is just way better than anybody else? Or is it a situation where he's good, but there's another really good one in here too? So I do think I'd be shocked. I'd shocked if anything other than the international situation wins that one. But
Yep.
To your point at Mystic Dan, I love that they're choosing that route. I hate the dirt mile race though, because I have no idea. I just have no idea what to do with that race. Like there's just no we talked a little bit about this last week where it just feels like there's not a real consensus of who is good in the race. It's just a bunch of decent horses that seem to be pointing in it, and kind of the overall concept is, hey, we can't compete in the classic, so we'll run here.
Well, and it's one of those races that always, it seems like, oh man, it's going to be good this year. And then a lot of times it doesn't. We've talked about that a little bit as well. So it's very much a who actually runs in it. I think Mystic Dan this year in these last couple of, well, maybe not the turf race, but the last few there at Churchill Downs, he's really started to kind of find his friends. And if he can find his friends in the Breeders' Cup Mile, I think he can win. I mean, he's turned into not turned into, but he's turned out to be, I should say, a very solid horse after winning that Derby, which is kind of a streak that we didn't see that from a lot of horses.
No,
other than, of course, this year and now with Mystic Dan. Last year, you could say, hey, he's pretty solid. So I think he's going to look good in that race. But again, I have no idea who's going to show up. That's one of those races. A lot of the fields, I say like October 20th, we kind of know them. The dirt mile comes together very late. So we'll just kind of have to see who actually enters.
Yeah, and speed's been very good in that race. So, it's kind of trying to decide on who you think is good enough to do that. Gate to wire in recent history, it's like the horses that haven't won that didn't have speed, I should say, were Cody's Wish. And I mean, we know how good he was. So I don't know that, do we have speed in this race that can do it? For a while, Mystic Dan looked like one of those horses that you talked about that, kind of the flash in the pan, won the Derby, never seen again. And credit to McPeak and kind of the horse that finally kind of got the horse back in form, right? And it has ran fairly well, even on the turf, oddly enough. So yeah, he's certainly, you've got Wada Barrio that's pointing to the race that, was going to be a classic horse. So, which is another funny horse in itself because he's won the classic, and can't do the classic now. Now he's running the dirt mile. So there's a lot of little mini storylines. Another horse that I wanted to mention from last week, the Goodwood and Nevada Beach, and Full Serrano. What do you think of that finish?
I mean, I think Nevada Beach ran extremely well, but now he's up against, unfortunately for him, like he has to go to the classic, right? So much tougher situation. I thought he ran well. I thought Full Serrano was fine. I mean, they were clear of everybody else, but yeah, I thought he ran very well. I think in some years he would kind of be that maybe a late bloomer you thought you could use in the classic a little bit, but don't think so. Not who he's going to have to go up against. That's the major problem with him.
Well, Full Serrano, man, like that's a horse that, we talked a little bit last week saying, hey, if he were to win here, then, I mean, how you might consider going to the classic. Obviously not going to be the case now, but he obviously won the Breeders' Cup last year, and we just sit here and talked about the dirt mile. What if he's that speed horse that could do it again?
Oh, very well could be. He ran a mile there at Del Mar, the return race, and looked like $1 million. And I thought he didn't win. And I think a lot of times people go, well, he didn't win, so he sucked. He was a big favorite and he didn't win, so he sucked. That's not really the case. He ran pretty well. He's not quite as good as a mile and an eighth. To my opinion, I mean, they'll definitely cut him back to a mile. I think he'll look really good in that race. Who's better, Full Serrano or Mystic Dan? I mean, I think I would take Full Serrano, right? So there's one he's already got beat if you look at it like that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, he looked awesome. I think the mile is where he's going to shine. I think they made sense to try there. He's ran well, but and he ran. Like, I'm with you. I didn't look at that race being like, he sucks. I just thought he got outran. It's kind of one of those cases for me where I'm like, I don't really have a lot of interest because of where he's going next, and that's in the Baffert horse that won. And instead, I probably have more interest in the second place horse because where he will go, and so that, I don't know, it's just one of those races. And like you said, it's tough to be Nevada Beach because you kind of are in no man's land at this point. You kind of showed that you need to run in the Classic. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be real. I mean, it's gonna be tough for him to even hit the board. So
Yeah, he'll be happy once the Breeders' Cup's over, and he could, like Nevada Beach, if he can kind of string together those kind of performances, he might be able to stay out in Southern California and win some of those handicap races as a 4-year-old, right? I don't really know. I guess journalism by Azo probably ship out and run in kind of tougher spots. So I would think where's like Nevada Beach would make a lot of sense in some of those races. So, but yeah, Breeders' Cup, I mean, great. You beat Full Serrano. You had a nice buyer. I think you got 100 buyer, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to improve, 5 to 10 points, right? So
right
off of already an improved effort. So it's gonna be tough for him, but he's an up and comer, and Baffert sounded excited to run him in the Classic. So it gives him a Classic horse, I guess.
he's just excited that he has
not
a mule to run him in the race. Not Barnes or one of those mules to run. But yeah, no, it's shaping up, obviously, guys. But let's get right to, we're going to go back. We'll focus a little bit on the juveniles and, of course, a few of these other turf races and we have a distaff race. We have a nice distaff race this weekend on Sunday, Torpedo Anna versus Nitrogen at Keeneland. So that will be fun. We'll get to that coming up. It's the last race we'll talk about. Today's show, we're going to deliver rapid fire picks for the final weekend of the 2025 Breeders' Cup. It's crazy to say that. When you're in races this weekend, it's a stacked lineup. We're going to feature 6 grade 1s. We'll also talk about some other races that we might be interested in as well, but a ton more. Just focusing on the 6 grade 1 Breeders' Cup winning your in races: Belmont, the Big A, Keeneland, and Santa Anita, plus the $1.3 million Coolmore Turf Mile for the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile. Let's go, man. What a weekend, guys. I mean, if this isn't your weekend, then I don't know what you're doing, because it's across the country, good racing. It's the final push to get into these big races, or to figure out where they're going to belong in these big races. And it's Keeneland. I mean, Keeneland in the spring, don't get me wrong, is amazing because you got the Derby Trail. Keeneland in the fall is awesome, though.
Yeah, it's especially when the Breeders' Cup's there. It just kind of adds to that excitement. It's not there, of course, this year, but yeah, it's still great. Beautiful. It's really beautiful both times. But I'm with you. I think I like fall. I don't know. Spring's kind of, I don't know, 50-50.
It is a tough call. I just because, like, when you're coming in, and all the leaves are changing. I don't know. I just kind of like the fall as scenery, and the weather is always pretty solid in the fall. Sometimes in the spring we've gotten everything. I feel like snow, rain, sun. It doesn't, everything. So I feel like this time of the year it's a little bit more reliable, the weather. But people that live in Kentucky would probably argue with that. But when we've had good experiences.
I think you're right. We've had more trouble with the bluegrass than any other race ever.
For real.
So yeah, I'll agree and go fall. I'm with you. I like the fall better.
Remember that? We were like sitting in the hotel lobby eating breakfast, and it was bluegrass day, and it's just absolute. I mean, thankfully it wasn't insanely cold, so it wasn't necessarily sticking that bad, but it was snowing like crazy. We're like, well, this is interesting.
That was probably the coldest I've ever been at a racetrack. It was really cold, and it snowed up until post. Another year we went, it was just freezing cold. Last year, do you remember last year they had to cancel and run Monday, Tuesday because it rained so much?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There has been 1 or 2 years where I could wear a sweatshirt and jeans and feel okay. But I don't think I've ever been warm at Keeneland.
But every time we've gone, even as late in November for the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland, the weather has been awesome.
It's been okay.
You can wear pants and a t-shirt, there was one year where it was
Faro year. It was very cold
on Saturday.
It snowed, spitting snow right before the Classic.
We were standing inside waiting for the Classic to start because it was so freaking cold. We didn't want to go stand outside.
Yeah. But the year Flightline won, it was pretty nice. The COVID year was just perfect.
I mean, listen, there's nothing that could because that was such a bummer that people couldn't experience that weather that day, because it was such a weird experience that we were it felt like being at at Oakland on a Sunday after the big races where there's no one there.
It was wild.
Yet it happened to be the Breeders' Cup. And by the way, the Breeders' Cup was phenomenal that year. It had really good racing across the board.
Yeah.
And it just we were just sitting up in the stands by ourselves, hanging out, watching shit. Who was that really good? Well, I remember what's her Monomoy girl.
Yep.
Was phenomenal. Who was it? Was it Tarnala?
Yep.
She was awesome. There was some really good racing that year.
Yeah, we were the only two people in the section that we were sitting in, and we were sitting right on the wire. We were only two people in it. It was my favorite Breeders' Cup of all time.
yeah. COVID did us well with that. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I remember they made you test, and you had to send them that you had tested 7 days before. You had to. I don't know. The vaccination wasn't happening then, but I remember there were so many strict things they made you do. And
what
1,000 people maybe?
Huh?
1,000 people there maybe?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like I remember thinking there was more, which is funny to say, more than I thought there would be.
Yeah.
But there was still no one there.
Nobody.
I mean, you didn't, let's just say, we were so spoiled because there was this we call it a hidden bar. It's obviously, now that we've been there many, many times, it's not hidden at all. But at the time, it's hidden. It was hidden because it was underneath the grandstands, kind of, and no one was there.
Mm-mm.
And so we would just go we just went, and there was zero line, literally no line, at all, ever. And so then we started going, obviously, more and more, going to the Bluegrass Day and other, Breeders' Cup, and you're like, oh shit, never mind, this is insane.
Yep. That was it's just crazy to think back that we were there. I mean, as a country, we were in that spot for so long. That's wild to think about.
Yeah, that was. And then that was such a weird year because as I was doing the stats, and there was one where there's only been a few Kentucky Derby winners that have gone on to win the Classic, and obviously that year was one of them. But that was so weird because the Derby was a month before the Classic.
Yep.
So it's not normal because that means they ran all year, ran really well. But that year, Authentic got really good late, right?
Yeah.
And of course, he was awesome in the Kentucky Derby, and which was September.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Classic a couple months later. So it was just that was just such a strange
so
year.
Wild. I remember standing right there on the rail, and there was nobody there watching that class. That was crazy. You're making me go back and reflect on some just bizarre memories of that day. It's wild.
Well,
those 2 days. Really.
Well, what's really funny about it is, rewind 5 years, we were there for Pharaoh's, you mentioned earlier, his 2015 Classic, and it was the first year there at Keeneland there, and of course having a Triple Crown winner there, the whole 9 yards, and it was fucking packed. You couldn't walk from where you were standing or sitting to the windows or to get something to eat without just literally rubbing shoulders with everybody. It was insane. So to go from that to that, it was it's still kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's insane.
All right, this weekend features a ton of Breeders' Cup Challenge Series races from across the country. It's the final weekend as we push towards that October 31st, November 1st Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. But we're going to focus on the 6 Grade 1 Breeders' Cup winning or in races. These are going to be featured by the upcoming betting Bibles that we have available for the Breeders' Cup. We've got the 14 trends to the Breeders' Cup, and then we'll also have the betting Bible that's going to be available very, very soon. The 14 trends will be available next week. The betting Bible will be available probably later in the week, next week as well. Now is the time to be a premium subscriber. I can't say that enough. If you become a premium subscriber today, that will carry on. It's a month subscription, 30 days. it will carry over into the Breeders' Cup, meaning if you are an active premium subscriber, you get the betting Bible for free. So you can pay $70, get picks for the entire month of racing. That includes obviously very good racing, including this weekend, as well as the Breeders' Cup betting Bible. That's $50 alone. So you're basically spending an extra $20 for a whole month of plays. So now is the time. Head over to racingdudes.com to learn more. All right, Halterman, we'll kick things off with Friday racing at Keeneland. Race number 9, the Darley Alcibiades Stakes, Grade 1, 650 K1 and 1/16 miles for the filly 2-year-olds, akin NetJets juvenile fillies, winning her in. And this one looks hard to look past the 3 Tommy Joe.
Single for me, the 3 Tommy Joe. It just seems like to me everybody's kind of avoided her in this spot. You usually get a bigger field for these races, not this one. Short field here. I like the number 1 Percy's Bar a little bit, but then you look and you go, well, if you like Percy's Bar, you kind of got to like Tommy Joe a lot more, right? So, yeah, look, I didn't get creative with this one. She was very, very impressive last time out. I think this is a really, really nice horse. So, future star for me. Give me Tommy Joe, the 3.
Yeah, there's just, obviously when you see a short price like this, your first instinct is to say, well, how can I beat it? How can I beat her in this case? And what do I have to work with to use to do it? And there's just not a lot here, right? I mean, and that's the thing, the very clear second choice in the race is the 1. And the last time the 1 ran, she saw nothing but the back of Tommy Joe, right? Just beat the hell out of her, and it wasn't necessarily close. So listen, could she win? Sure. You never know how these horses will do stretching out. But, Tommy Joe is bred to go long, into mischief, pioneer of the Nile, Dam Sire. This seems like it's going to be awfully tough to look past this one. And honestly, dude, and I'll say this a few times, this one could be like a real player in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I think the favorite, good chance of being the favorite if she does what I think she's going to do here. I think, look, I thought her spin away was awesome. And I think it's a situation where Todd Pletcher just got extremely hot, and a lot of these horses ran very well. Let's see how they come back, but there's really no reason to think they won't. And this is going to be one of a few we'll talk about. But yeah, I think Tommy Joe could be the favorite if she wins this race, like I think she's going to. And again, I just kind of feel like we're used to seeing like 9 to 12 horses in this race. To get 6 tells me a lot. And for Keeneland to make this horse 2 to 5 in a Grade 1 tells me a lot as well on the morning line. So they're expecting Tommy Joe to run big, and so am I.
So that's what we'll do. Each of these races we do. And by the way, if there's a race on the undercard or any of these other on these days we go over that you want to mention, just make sure you make note of that while we go through them. But when we go through them, you just tell me, like, hey, I want you to, whoever we're picking in these races, like, are they legit? Are these the horses that we think could be favorites or contenders of the Breeders' Cup or not? So I'm with you. Tommy Joe, definitely with a big performance here, would be a heavy, I don't know about favorite, heavy favorite, but definitely a big time shot to win the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. All right. Let's go. We'll stay at Keeneland. Let's move a day later, and we'll go to the juvenile race, the juvenile male race. That is race number 9, the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity, Grade 1. Another $650 race, 1/16 miles for the 2-year-old boys. And again, the same song and dance here. Another Todd Pletcher, 4 to 5 on Ted Naffy. Is it as simple as the last one?
Yeah, I think so. I put Ted Naffy on top in this spot. I do like the number 1 Blackout Time as a long shot. I got that horse in second, but yeah, I like Ted Naffy. The biggest thing for me last time out, when he was getting approaching the wire, say the last 100 yards, he was just on another planet. He really started to accelerate. I think he's awfully good, and I think he's ready to go longer based on that last race going 7 furlongs. So I put him on top again, put the big favorite on top again in this spot. I do like that. I do like a Price in second and Blackout Time. I thought he was very, very good last time out for Kenny McPeak, but I think Ted Knopfy, his 2 races have both been really good, and the second one was better than the first, so he's building a little bit. I think he can go 2 turns. So heavy favorites, heavy pletchers here to get it going.
Yeah, I mean, this is a horse that has not sniffed really getting beat. I'm not there, but I'll go kind of talk with someone maybe listening and saying, "Hey, well, what about the 7 Ewing? I mean, this horse hasn't lost. He won the Saratoga Special. He's been the favorite. He was a heavy favorite on debut. He was near favorite over Obliteration the next time. Why not go Ewing?"
The last race was not very good. And the horse that he beat that race has turned out to not be near as good as we thought. It's a weird situation with Ewing, and I think I'm going to use him. I think I may just go 3 deep and use him on the ticket. I got so many texts about this horse before his debut, and he was sensational in debut.
Yeah.
His second race, it was not good. It was horrific. It's a win, yes, but it was just not good at all. You know, Ted Knopfy ran much faster going the same distance 2 races before. I think he's going to run much better this time, much better. But I am still not confident after that last race. I am just a little bit gun shy on him coming into this one. But again, I think there's more to him than what he did last time out.
Yeah, I remember that day, obviously, and there was a lot of back and forth between us and our group, text messages, trying to figure out what we saw, right? Because going into that race that day, the Saratoga Special, you're like, well, this horse is a monster, being Ewing, and then he wins. You're like, all right, he did it, and you're kind of like, then you start to really look at it closer, and like you mentioned, that's the thing. You had the exact same distance, the exact same day, just 2 races prior, where you had these comparison, and Ted Knopfy as a maiden special weight runs that in almost 117 flat. And Ewing all out runs it in 118 flat. And then we're like, okay, there's that. And that's a little weird. And then the numbers comes back and you're, man, an 81 after the 88 debut. Wait, that doesn't seem right. Like there's no way. And then as it comes more and more out, and then like you said, Obliteration hasn't been what we thought he was going to be. And now you're like starting to figure out, or at least realize, like, hey, maybe that race or these 2 horses in itself weren't that good. And so now you had Ted Knopfy, who, by the way, after what was a nice debut, more impressive than Ewing in the Saratoga Special, like I just said. What's he do? Well, he goes and fires off another race even better and improves his Beyer 13 points. And so now you're like, okay, that's the real horse, not Ewing.
Did you say he got an 81 Beyer?
Yes.
Okay, so they changed that Beyer because it was, I'm 99.99% for sure it was much lower.
I feel like it was way low at first.
It was way lower. So not to go off on a tangent, but I don't look at any speed figures anymore. And part of it is they ruin time for him. And part of it is I think they're all kind of bullshit. So, and I think this is one of the reasons why it's like, it seems like that was in the low 70s right after the race.
Yeah, and now that you're saying that, I knew like it was low because I remember us having that conversation.
Yeah.
But now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, maybe it was like, because I just remember thinking that's like weirdly dramatically low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So they obviously, but to be as a comparison, Ted Knopfy ran an 86 on that same Beyer or the same day. I mean,
it seems like they've upped that one too.
I mean, listen, it's all like you said. It's just it's something to go off of, and that's it.
Yeah.
But there's really no like, there's no like. Listen, anybody, and I'm more pro numbers than you are certainly, but anybody that uses them as an end all be all, and I don't care if it's Thorough or Rags or Buyers or Echo Base, if you use that or whatever, the Brisnet or what any of that. If you use those as an end all be all, then that's insane. So I like to use them as a as a kind of a starting point, but I certainly don't pick a horse because I think I'm more interested in what we just went over. Like Ewing, I mean, the time of the race, although we don't know how to time a race this day and age either, but given they were on the exact same day, 2 races apart, it's kind of hard to mess that up. I can see it with my eyes. Ted Nafi looks better, all those things. One question from John G. Spice Runner. Any thoughts on Spice Runner? That's a horse that I've liked for a while. I've been wrong a few times. Finally broke through in the Iroquois last out. Now here, do you think the horse has figured it out?
Okay. Before I answer that real quick, because I was looking it up, you can search your text messages. Ewing got a 71 buyer after the day after the race. Just saying. So yeah, the Spice Runner thing.
They added 10 points to that.
They added 10 points to it.
Okay.
You take this information. I mean, not you, Jared, but as a listener, just I don't know. Look, hey, we added it 3 points. Okay. 10 points just magically. And if we hadn't had like this big discussion about it, I wouldn't know. Right. And how many times do you think they're doing that where races where we're not having group text messages about it? That's insane. Okay. But
it's almost like it's like
I'm sorry.
Not to go on a tangent here with that, but it's almost like, hey, all right, well, the people they're kind of bitching like that. I feel like that's a little low. Like, well, maybe we should up that a little bit. And then it's like, okay, let's up it 10 points. And you're like, but wait, Ted Nafi, that means we got to get Ted Nafi a 75 buyer and that doesn't make sense. So now we'll move him up, and now we got to move. It's like that in a nutshell is kind of the issue with the system. Go ahead. What do you think about Spice Runner?
Yeah, Spice Runner. Look, I didn't love. I know he won. I didn't love the race last time out. I didn't think it was like a tremendous race, but it was a win. Look, I kind of think this horse is gonna get better the longer they go. And now we're going longer. We're going 2 turns. I think he's a logical horse at 12-1. If he gets bet down, it's kind of not for me. I would talk you off of him if he's 5 or 6-1. But if he's 8-10 to 12-1, I don't think he's impossible, because I just do believe this horse is getting better with each race and will get better the longer they go. Now, could that mean maybe he needs even a mile and an eighth before we really see him flourish? Possibly. So kind of a long answer there of, yeah, I kind of like him. I wouldn't hate it if you tried to play him. I just kind of think this might not be the time.
Yeah, I think for me, him, and I also don't mind the 2 Big Dom. I think that's a horse that will like going longer. So, I think that's 2 horses, and I think Spice Runner will too. Kind of showed it in the Iroquois. Like, kind of got going late, and of course ended up winning. Don't think the Iroquois was a very good race, but improved at it while he has been running. So I think I'm more interested in these horses underneath. Like, I don't know that I can get there trying to pick an upset to beat the 6, but I could certainly be talked into, while Ewing seems like on paper, or at least to a lot of people, might be the second choice or like the most logical second place finisher. I would lean more towards Big Dom or Spice Runner for me, but because I do think those are 2 horses that may just be better than the rest at this distance. So, not with Ted Nafi excluded.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ewing runs 4th. I wouldn't be surprised if he won. Like I said, his hype was very, very big, and his first race was electric. Like, there's nothing bad you could say about the first race, right? And maybe they wheeled him back a little too quick, because him and Obliteration that day, they both looked tired for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And now, as bad as Ewing was, Obliteration's race was garbage. And he did come back. He ran on the turf at Kentucky Downs next. He did run a lot better that day. Okay. So maybe they both were a little tired. I don't know. So anyway, I think Ewing will run better.
And I do think it's at least worth noting, although I don't know how big a deal it is, that Jose Ortiz had multiple options in this race, right? Mm-hmm. And he chose to stick on Ewing. So, he could have rode, Spice Runner, the one we mentioned, and he could even Big Dom, like I mentioned. Those are 2 that he rode last out and obviously won last out with both of those. And and chose to stay on Ewing. So, it's not like obviously he rides for, Mark Cassidy a lot, but he could have rode for a couple of these guys and kind of had his pick here, and he chose there. So,
Yep.
For what that's worth. All right, Ted Nafi, same thing. How real deal are you with this horse, assuming he wins?
Pretty real deal, honestly. I thought his first 2 races were very good. I like the progression. You want to see him around 2 turns, so if he runs well, I think he's another one. I think Pletcher, he showed a pretty strong hand in the last couple of weeks there at Saratoga, and it's like, okay, now if they can take the next step, and we talk about it, going 1 turn to 2 turns, it's a big question mark, but I think he's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 choices, assuming he shows up and runs like I think he's going to here.
I mean, listen, I think whether it be both of them or one or the other, if Ted Nafi or Tommy Joe, one of those two, run like they've been running, right, at this distance and do it here like this, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of confidence going into the Breeders' Cup with one of those, if not both. So I'm with you. On paper, he looks like the real deal. Let's see if he does it here. All right, let's move to the main event on the weekend, and the main event on Saturday at Keeneland, and that is race 10, the Coolmore Turf Mile, grade 1, 1.25 million. It said 1.3 in DRF, so I'm not really sure which one it is, but that's maybe they found another 50,000 somewhere. I don't know. 1 mile on the turf, 3-year-olds and up. Again, a win you're in for the FanDuel Mile, field of 12. Lines up here, and this is an awesome race, dude. It really has a little bit of everything. You got the international flavor. You got a really nice horse in Diego Velasquez. You got program trading for Chad Brown, who's nice. Rhetorical has been really good, but stepping up in class. I mean, it really has a little bit of everything from what you're kind of looking for this stage in the game. So where are you going?
Yeah, a classic race. There's no doubt about it. It's so many places you could go. So many really good horses in here. I really just feel like there's one kind of horse that I have been waiting to bet, and I get the chance to do it. And that's the number 4, Diego Velasquez. Like I said, there were rumors that he was going to come over to the Breeders' Cup as a 2-year-old. He didn't do it. Last year, he did come over, but didn't run. He had to scratch him. I was going to have a pretty good bet on him that day in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Now he's at Keeneland, and he's won races since that were very, very tough races. Yeah, I'm all over Diego Velasquez in here. I do like long shots underneath. I do think Donegal Momentum, the 1 horse, is one you've got to keep an eye out for. I like Brilliant Birdie and Rhetorical the 9, Brilliant Birdie the 10. I think those 2 are horses to watch out for. I think John Quill, the 12 horse, is one to watch out for as well. But on top, I do love Diego Velasquez.
Yeah, I'm in a weird spot here because if you just said all things being equal, who is going to win the race, who's the pick to win? It's number 4, Diego Velasquez. I'm not really thinking twice about it, right? Listen, he's a damn good horse. World-class trainer. The list goes on. He's winning Group 1s overseas, right? And by the way, he beat Notable Speech, who came back to dust him last, when was that? Last week? No, a couple weekends ago, whenever that was, in the Woodbine Mile. Notable Speech was flying that day. Like they both ran very well. He likes this distance. He's won Group 1s at this distance. So it's really hard to look past. 7-2 is insane. You're not going to get 7-2. So it's really all for me, like what price are we looking at here? If I can get 5-2, 2-1 on him, I'm probably still very much okay with that. Kind of depends on his bet or where he's bet at. The horse who I like the most, if he is bet too far down, because I think that's realistic, he could be, is the 9 Rhetorical. And again, 8-1, I think might be a little high on Rhetorical, right? So I think those could even out a little bit. Listen, Rhetorical's done nothing but be awesome. Other than, the only question mark for Rhetorical is the class, right? It's hard. He's been running other than one time. He also won that race at Saratoga, but mostly state bred type races. And dusting them, but that's a far cry from Group 1 overseas horses, right? That he's got to face here. So that's the issue. With that said, he's done it fairly easily, right, in all those races. And Irad Ortiz has them out, ridden him all but once, and had options here as well. And he's stayed put with Rhetorical. So I think he is the most logical contender, in my opinion, to beat him, and the one I'm most interested in based on the value and based on his price. But all things being equal, there's a 0 chance on leaving out Diego Velasquez. But I'll say this: I'm probably not singling him.
I think that's fair. I think if you're gonna play Diego Velasquez, you need to take some shots. And Rhetorical would be one, at 8-1 that I think might float up. We'll see. Listen. I kind of think Diego Velasquez is 8-5 in this race. Like I really do. And then that's going to give you your price on a Rhetorical or a Brilliant Birdie or Donegal Momentum, somebody like that. I do think the 8 program trading will take money as well. That horse is pretty darn good and came off a layoff last time out and ran well, got beat, but ran really well. Good setup for this one. So I do think that horse takes a little money that will help these horses we're talking about kind of, be prices as you think they should be. Because let's face it, you don't want Rhetorical if he's 5-1. You want him if he's 8, 10, 12-1.
Correct. Yeah. If Rhetorical goes down to 4-1, let's just say, and Diego Velasquez is 8-5, I'm playing Diego Velasquez, right?
Yep.
I'm very much okay with that price based on the horse I like most other than him. What do you think about this strategy? And I'm not saying I'm for or against it, but I'm just saying it is a strategy that a lot of people like to use, where they say, well, listen, if I'm Diego Velasquez is going to be bet too hard in my pick 4s, in my pick 5, whatever I'm playing, I'm just not using them. I'm just plain and simple not going to use them. I'm going to play Rhetorical. I'm going to play Brilliant Birdie. I'm going to play, the other international horse that's 5-1. I'm going to play Howard Wall, whatever it is. I'm not playing the favorite, or the other side is I single the favorite and move on.
Well, I mean, you could either one isn't bad. I don't think this is the most likely horse to be singled out of the whole sequence. So if you single him, you're kind of, he's going to be singled some, but I don't think that's the worst idea if you want to do that. If you play against him, you can go, 7, 8 deep, and then maybe you go single in the futurity, or maybe I think Vava's in the late pick 5. Maybe you could single her and do something like that. So, Samich and I were having a discussion about this earlier today. This does feel like okay, which of the heavy kind of favorites are you going to single and which are you going to try to beat? And I think each race, you're kind of going to have to make that decision on Saturday's card. Let me pull it up here real quick. So yeah, you've got in this sequence, you got Vava in the first leg, right? Which that could be one or the other. You got the 8th race, which is just freaking wide open. We'll talk. I want to mention that one in a minute. Ted Nafi is in the 9th. Diego Velasquez right here in the 10th. So there's 3 potential singles. You're going to have to decide who are we going to try to beat, or are we just going to press it and try to go real short, play it for a higher amount? You could do that as well. So it's a structure thing that you're really going to have to debate upon. There's really only one completely, maybe 2 completely wide open races. And then there's 3 that could be very chalky.
If I made you pick a single in your sequence, would you be more apt to pick Diego Velasquez or Ted Nafi?
Good question. I think Diego Velasquez. I'm just so excited for him, and it could be me just being very excited. I think there's more value in beating Ted Nafi because I do think he will be singled more than Diego Velasquez. So I would say I would want to single Diego Velasquez, Ted Nafi, Ewing, and maybe the McPeak long shot is probably what I would do in the race before.
I agree with your logic. I don't necessarily agree. I'd probably me personally be more apt to single Ted Nafi, but I agree with your logic of more people playing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also I don't mind you doing it because like you really like Diego Velasquez and you've been dying for this horse to be over here, so it makes sense. But it's a hell of a sequence. I mean, it's going to be very because like you said, there's plenty of options. There's plenty of singles to be had. If you want to go that route, you got to decide which ones are worth doing.
Yeah, part of the problem is with this race, if I start using horses other than him, and I don't know, I haven't made the decision on that yet, exactly how to structure it, but if I use one horse, I might use 6 other than him in this race. You know what I mean? And then you're caught in a situation where like, you got 5 or 6 horses and one of them's 8-5, and it's like, you don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then the other kind of flip side of it is you don't you don't want to use 5 or 6 when you really love a horse, right? You want to go short. So it's a little bit of a puzzle as far as the structure goes of this pick 5 at Keeneland, because let's face it, we've been around long enough to know. I mentioned Vava, I mentioned Ted Noffi, I mentioned Diego Velasquez. All 3 of those horses are not winning. It's very unlikely. So
Yeah, I know,
you've
right?
got to pick the one that or 2 or even 3 if you don't like any of them that you think are going to lose, and then build out from there.
Well, if that happens, then this thing's going to be insane. You could even see a horse like Program Trading winning, who I convince he isn't good enough to do it, and we'll do it. So in this spot, but all things being equal, Diego Velasquez for both of us. But again, really look at these prices. This will be obviously you can't see the prices when you're playing the pick 5, when you're putting in your pick 5 tickets. So you kind of have to make those choices before that. But if you're playing the race, itself, then obviously look at those prices, look at those will pays, look at the possibles or the probable payouts for the exactas and things of those nature, the doubles, to get a feel for where the value does lie with this one, because the betting will be interesting, because 7-2 is a pipe dream on him. You mentioned the race prior, not that the Futurity. Was it this one, the First Lady?
Oh my gosh, yeah, the First Lady. Let's talk about it just real quick. This isn't even a Breeders' Cup winning you're in, is it?
No.
God, it's the best race of the weekend, though. I've never quite seen a race like this where I can make cases for several 15 and 20 to 1 shots.
It's dude, there's some of these some of these races, I don't know if it belongs to be a Breeders' Cup race, because it's not like it's got like a world class horses, but man, it's a good one. It's
so good.
It is. I'm honestly, there's 12 horses entered, and 10 of them could win.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
And you're not wrong, but also, what would it hurt for this to be a Breeders' Cup winning you're in for the Philly Mare Turf? I think it wouldn't hurt anything. The Vosburg was a prep or Breeders' Cup winning you're in last week. Come on.
Well, it's why do we have? And this is a tangent, but why? And again, I don't so what is it, the Frizette or whatever, at Big Belmont, the big, that's not a Breeders' Cup winning you're in, but it's for the Phillies. It's just like the Champagne, just like you've got the same races like the Darley Alcibiades and Future, you know what I mean? Why are some places they have both, and then some the Phillies race isn't even one? It makes no sense. But
I don't know. I don't know how they allot those. I don't worry too much about it, but at the same time, it is annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And again,
I think one thing people that aren't really in the game, that just see it, and because I think the way we sell it is these are challenge races, meaning if you win, you get to go to the Breeders' Cup, and to a lot of people, it's that's the only way you get in, and really, it's just an all paid expense to get. You win it, it's like a free trip to go, basically, for the connections, but
yeah,
you still can go, right? So
right.
it's not it's if it's not one, it's to a lot of trainers, hey, we're going regardless, so we're not going to ship the horse over to Keeneland just to run in a prep race to get into the Breeders' Cup, when we're just going to go to the Breeders' Cup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's very much overthought.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, it's weird, but listen, this race, the number 11 Great Generation. And to be quite honest, I haven't decided, and I'll decide tomorrow morning when I final up for Saturday. He might be my top, or she, excuse me, might be the top pick, and it's 20 to 1, right? It's an international horse. It's got very good form, going to stretch out, but has been running very well at 7 furlongs. So I liked Great Generation. I like Ozara quite a bit at 6 to 1. I like Hiradia at 15 to 1. I like Simmering at 12 to 1. I just kept going, and I was like, oh, this. What, that horse is what price? Holy shit. So I think this is a great, the best betting race I've seen in a while.
Well, it's just one of those races that you can't, it's hard. And you feel for the morning line maker, because it's you can't really get a feel for how the public's going to bet any of these horses, because there's not that clear horse, or even like you said, the international horse that's 20 to 1. the form maybe look good, but we don't, the betting public doesn't know much about those connections, and who they are. And so it's not like it's Aiden O'Brien. It's not like it's Appleby with the horse. So you just don't, it's hard to get a feel for the race and how the betting public is going to bet it. So, these prices are, you would assume a race like this that you're going to see, like, say, dynamic pricing because it's Chad Brown. And you're going to see that horse be bet. You're going to see Suggesta with Pratt and Chad Brown be bet hard because of who it is. You're going to see Clement and Irad 6-1 going to go down hard because of who the connections are, not necessarily because they need to be, but they don't have a lot to go off with the other ones.
Yeah, I absolutely. And I think, sometimes you'll get races where the odds are kind of right on everybody, but you don't really, it's like, yeah, good race for betting, but I don't like to really, I don't want to bet any of these horses. Where here, it's like there's too many of them to bet,
Yeah.
but that's a good thing. You can pick your price. Like you said, you're going to get a decent enough price on anybody. Like, even if you're sitting here right now and you're like, I don't know what the guys are talking about. I like dynamic pricing. He's the or she's the favorite. Well, shit, even if you like dynamic pricing, you'll get 3-1, and that's good for a favorite. So yeah, this is a fantastic race. I can't wait for it.
This is the landmine race of the sequence, though. You got to survive.
For
You've
sure.
got to survive this race.
Yep, and that's one reason why you're probably gonna have to go short in those other legs, because I don't know, maybe you listening out there's got somebody you just love and you're trying to go short, but for me, it's definitely, man, I'm gonna have to use a bunch.
And then the flip side, if you do like someone in here that you feel good about and they win, well, then you have more bullets in these other races. Say if Ted Nafi gets beat, or if Diego Velasquez gets beat, you have those other bullets to use because you went thin here. But that would be it's got to take some stones to do that one.
Yep, it would.
All right, let's move on to Saratoga, Santa Anita. We'll go to race number 3 on Saturday for the American Pharoah Stakes, Grade 1, 300K, mile 16, 2-year-olds again, winning your in for the FanDuel Juvenile. So we did the Breeders' Futurity, Ted Nafi. We'll see if Bob Baffert's got one to beat that horse out here. And again, I say Bob Baffert because it's a field of 6, and you got 4 of them trained by Bob Baffert. 3-2 on Desert Gate, 9-5 on Christofferson. You've got 10-1 on Placharge and Balboa at 8-1, and Doug O'Neill's got one, and Mullins is the other. So, which Bob Baffert are you going with?
I always take the Bob Baffert horse when Hernandez is aboard, unless Flavian Pratt is on the other one, right? I'm going to kind of break what I usually do. I'm going to go Christofferson, the 6th horse on top in this one, and not Desert Gate. I really loved Christofferson's debut race. It was my favorite of the Bafferts, not named Brandt. I did like both of his races better than Christofferson's, but I really like that race. I wish Hernandez was aboard. That is usually a sign. I get it if you want to go Desert Gate, but give me Christofferson, the 6th horse. I just love the debut. I'll take a shot with him.
All right. Telling everybody right now, go ahead and put your money on the 1, because I'm also on the 6, Christofferson. We just put that horse in the winner's circle. All the reasons you said, and I'm the same way. Like, I kind of went into it thinking, oh man, like I wish Hernandez would have chose this one. And the only thing I could think of is just he's ridden that horse 3 times. He's won a grade 3, second in the grade 1. Like, he's maybe sticking with that one. I'm with you. I went through and watched those races. Christofferson's debut, Desert Gate's last race. Didn't think his last race was that bad, but I didn't love it necessarily compared to the Christofferson. Christofferson got a 90 buyer on that debut race, which helped me kind of push over with like, all right. And he's a $1.1 million horse. He's Nyquist, quality road, damn sire. I think this horse will very much appreciate going long. And you watch his debut race, to me, looked like a horse that's going to appreciate going long. So I like him a little bit more than the 1. So yeah, I'm with Christofferson. I'm not sure what to do with like whoever Baffert wins here. Like, if it's Desert Gate, then I guess you say, that's the thing, man. Like, if Desert Gate wins, then you're like, well, gosh, Brandt beat him. So that must mean Brandt's way better. But then you're like, well, shit, he didn't run here. What's his issue? Now I got to run, assuming he gets to the Breeders' Cup, I've got to bet or pick a horse that hasn't ran 2 turns. You know what I mean? Like, there's challenges there. Now, if Christopherson wins, then you say, well, maybe he's like the horse. He beats Desert Gate. Maybe he's the horse that could beat Brant, especially with he's vulnerable going 2 turns for the first time.
It is going to be a puzzle, and the Baffert horses really have been a puzzle, for a while now. The last 3 or 4 years, it's kind of hard to decipher him. He's got a bunch, and you kind of got to wade through who's real and who's not, right? Especially when they get up against the better horses. So, yeah, I agree. It's kind of going to be a little bit of a problem. Just like last year, it was kind of a little bit of a problem as well. Yeah, the Christopherson thing, again, when 2-year-olds run at Saratoga and Del Mar, you're always paying extra close attention because you know what's coming. You're trying to find the next big horse. And
yeah,
I remember when he won, I think I texted the group. I was like, that's the one I've liked the best so far. And I did that last year with Gaming. We were at Emerald Downs, remember, with John and Ryan, and Gaming debuted, and he ran on the same race, same day getaway car ran and won a stakes. And I was like, nah, give me Gaming all day long, and he did turn out to be better at that point as he went on to win the Del Mar Futurity before he fell apart. But I just look at Christopherson, kind of the same like situation, similar feeling of just like, yeah, man, I think right now he's just a little bit better. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping one of these other 2-year-olds just not trained by Bob Baffert is so good that I just like Ted Knopfy, where I'm just like, I can't, no matter what, I'm not going there. So,
I thought that going into last year, and he won the damn thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what has me worried.
Dude, as I was saying that, I was like envisioning not Fierceness. Who was the horse that
East
he had? East Avenue. But then there was like the Chancer and all those horses. And then he wins with Citizen Bull at like 12-1.
Yeah.
And you're like, really, son of a bitch. And then you backtrack another year and you're like, okay, Fierceness is the guy. Or no, he's not the guy. Now he does win with Todd Pletcher.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get Todd Pletcher right in the race either. Other times when was it Forte, right?
Yeah, Forte beat Cave Rock. Yep.
Yeah, against Forte. And then he, so he's just one of those. And then there's the thing. Bob Baffert, Breeders' Cup, especially out west, can never really count him out. Ever.
Yeah, no, so exactly.
That's the annoying part about any of his horses.
I think in your trends, I was reading them yesterday. You really hit it on the head. It's like you don't have to rely on the favorite here. There's been some prices come in, and I think if I've learned anything on Future Stars Friday, single one horse, and then kind of just spread out as much as you can everywhere else. Find the one horse on the card that you really love. Like the Aiden O'Brien turf horse, or, I don't want to mention the Appleby horse that ran for purse money only, but that at Del Mar that day, I was all about him, And so, but that seems to work. Don't try to go, skinny in every leg, 2-3 deep, because they're 2-year-olds and they're just very odd. Because like last year, if you go, okay, look, I'll play East Avenue, I'll play Chancer, hell, it's at Del Mar, give me the Baffert, or give me the Bafferts. Well, you're through, right? You kind of got to have a little bit more of an open mind. It's kind of a long way of me shortening it up what I could have just said, right? You have a little bit of open mind on the Friday cards.
Well, you mentioned it, and I'll kind of give a little bit of a preview of it. But the fascinating thing about that trend of the juvenile and the Breeders' Cup is that it's been a very consistent race to like kind of predict future class, meaning they always, like 9 of the last 10 winners of the race have gone on to run in the Kentucky Derby, right? Corniche was the only one that didn't. And so it's proven to be like formful in that sense. But over the last 10 years of that same time frame, like the average odds have been like 11-1. And so it's not necessarily meaning like, hey, the favorite of this race is winning every time. Like you've seen cases like Good Magic, say, for instance, who was 10-1 or 12-1, whatever it was. Fierceness was a huge price when he won the race. The horses like even Forte wasn't a bad price when he won that day. And even go like last year with Citizen Bull. So it's not like you need to predict the race as who is the best horse right now. you almost need to look at it in a sense of like, who do I think has the best chance to be really, really good moving on, right?
Right.
And to me, that's how you get there. And it's not as easy as like something. Again, Corniche was 7-5 and he won, right? So it's not like it always predicts it, but I do think there is something there because it is been 10 years and it's been a very formful trend.
Yep. No, I agree with you. It is very interesting to look at it and look like, trends they're made to be broken by really, really good horses, right? So like with Justify and the Curse of Apollo and all this stuff, it's like, well, look, if you're good, you're good. You're going to break the trend. But, year after year, if you take out, okay, here was just an elite horse where it didn't matter. Your trends tend to kind of hit the nail right on the head on most of these races. What was it last year? 9 out of 14.
Yeah, 9 out of 14. The trends, meaning like the trends that I showed in the displayed there were correct. And then of those of the 9, the average winning odds were like 8-1.
Yeah.
So it was very, very good. And picking now there were a few that just and most of them that I found that didn't happen. Well, for instance, it was one of the ones the Euros have dominated, and not this time. No, what was that Sherry DeVoe horse?
Oh, She Feels Pretty.
Yeah, no. Who won? Sherry? What Sherry DeVoe won last year in the turf? Was it her?
Oh gosh, I can't think of that horse's name now.
That one was like in the Euro, finished second.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was I think like the juvenile turf sprint, which is still just becoming very tough to predict, yet still that one was off. So there's some like that, but some of these I've been very, very formful. And I always think back when I think about the juvenile, I always think about Good Magic. He always comes to mind because he was such a good example of this trend. And I mean, I picked him that day, but I also, you didn't know that he would run that good. But he just had like, okay, he's Chad Brown. Look how he's bred. Like, look at him run. Like, you just feel like that's a horse that's going to continue to get better and better and better. And obviously, he would have won the Derby if not for a freak and Justify that day. So I do think there is a lot. And then, like, was it Boltioro was the favorite? And it was like, yeah, I just don't quite trust that horse as getting to the Derby and all those things. And some of that comes with connections and those other aspects to it. But so yeah, Good Magic was a good example of why that trend, in my opinion, is so works so well.
Yeah, More Than Looks was the horse. I can't believe I couldn't pull that.
Yes.
More Than Looks was the horse. Beat Johannes and Notable Speech, who came back
Notable
to win
Speech, yeah, there
the
you go.
Woodbine Mile. Yeah. And look, if you remember was that about the last 5 or 6 races last year, the Breeders' Cup? They kind of went insane a little bit. It was fairly predictable, and then it went fairly crazy. So, and that happens sometimes as well. You're going to get the craziness. You're going to get maybe some trend busters the other way of just had to have that horse is really good and can bust a trend. But, again, 9 out of 14 clues that were spot on. That's pretty good in horse racing.
Yeah, and I mean, I always. By the way, Notable Speech looked like he was 1-9 in the turn. Yep. It was like this horse is going to just dominate and just didn't quite have the kick. But no, here's the thing. Like, I literally will use the trends to help me handicap. And I think a lot of people do because it doesn't necessarily mean the end all be all. But if say you're kind of on the fence between horse A and horse B, and one is speed and one is off the pace or whatever, and you see the trend, it's like 9 of the last 12 years speed has won this race. You're kind of that might be enough to be like, all right, that's where I'll go or whatever. Yep. And so I use them just because, again, trends are trends, and it's kind of hard to just like, yeah, trends and all sports are meant to be broken, and they do all the time. But when you're kind of on the fence between a couple of horses or looking for that kind of whatever, you can look at something like that might give you a little bit of an edge. So they're very useful for me. And hopefully, again, those will be out next week. And they are for free on the site. All you got to do is log in. So you got to just sign up, and it's free on the back end. So look for that. We'll promote it next week. All right, let's go to the Champagne. We'll go the same day, Belmont, the Big A, the Champagne race 7. It's a grade 1, 500K, 1 mile for 2-year-olds. So this is a little bit different of a race. And again, it is a win you're in for the juvenile, just like that last one, but it's only a mile, 1-turn mile at that. Now, we've seen horses come here and should win like Fiercest and not. And we've also seen, powerhouse performances, but not necessarily translate to the juvenile. Now, what do you think here? Because this is kind of an interesting one, given it's a 1-turn mile.
It really is, isn't it? It's I don't know how good of a projection it will be because, the race has been productive, but you just, 1-turn mile to a mile and 16th is always just kind of interesting to see if it translates. Look, I can't go against It's Our Time as far as this race goes, though. He's just that race was ridiculous. Has plenty of time between races, should show up with a good effort here. I think going a mile will be just fine for this horse. Yeah, it's Our Time for me all day long. This is another race. I feel like we didn't get a whole lot in here. I feel like if he loses this, it kind of means he just bounces off that big effort.
It's it's hard to. I'll tell you what, I wanted to so badly, and I'll probably put him in the winner's circle, but since I didn't end up picking him, putting the 2, Stradelli, or however the hell you pronounce that horse. Because this horse has been super hyped up in both of his races. He's a huge priced horse, $1.3 million horse. So that, to kick things off, Kaleem Shaw's, who owns it, Steve Asmussen trained, was a heavy favorite on debut, lost. Heavy favorite again, lost. Although he ran well, way better his second start than he did his first start. Went insanely fast, like 22 and 44, 109 flat almost, going 7 furlongs. He went too fast. Now, if he can somehow rate him a little bit and not use that insane speed so fast, he's interesting at 8-1. But I just could not get past same horse, number 6. It's Our Time. You won by 18 lengths at Saratoga. That catches your eye. You got a 94 buyer on debut. I couldn't look past him, but I will say this: if that horse bounces, he will have to come get the 2.
Yeah, no, I like the 2 just a little bit, but again, he is a maiden, but that, early, it doesn't matter as much as long as they've shown a little bit of talent. If you like the 2, you kind of got to like the 9 talking a little bit, and I think that's one to kind of keep an eye out for as well. Maybe those are the 2, right, to play underneath It's Our Time. I'll mention the number 8, Napoleon Solo. He won a restricted maiden there at the Saratoga, but he beat him pretty badly, so maybe that's one that can challenge again as well. But you can poke holes pretty quickly through the rest of the field past It's Our Time, where for me, It's Our Time. It's just like, he bounces off out of that race. Say he does kind of what Ewing did in the Saratoga Special and doesn't run quite as well. Well, then he can definitely get beat, right? Because there are better horses in here than what Ewing had to face in that Saratoga Special. And there's more of them, right? But yeah, I just kind of think It's Our Time's not going to bounce. And if he just kind of runs like he did last time, I just don't think there's anybody in here close to him.
So it's a tricky one in a sense. Like some of the past winners are like Chancer McPatrick and Timberlake. Timberlake didn't run terrible in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Didn't win. Blazing Sevens. Jack Christopher, one that looked very tough, and Jackie's Warrior looked very tough, and so it's not exactly the biggest preview to a juvenile winner, right? It's just there's a reason why a lot of these horses are choosing. I mean, even you look at the 2, that was another reason why I didn't go that route. This is a horse that could have been training at Churchill, could have definitely ran at Keeneland, right? Instead shipped up here, going the 1-turn mile, and that tells me, hey, I'm not sure we can get the mile longer than the mile here. You know what I mean? So to me, that's a concern when it comes to some of these. Now, the 6 Steve Amos and, Saratoga, and another one that could have ran at Churchill and chose to come here, but he looks like a horse that will want to go long. I don't look at him as a distance limitation horse, but, again, it's not been the biggest kind of preview to what the juvenile will produce.
No, it hasn't, but we'll see. I've got high hopes for the juveniles. All 3 of these races I think could be pretty good. So I think who the favorite ultimately it will be for the juvenile will be fascinating. I mean, we'll know after this weekend, I'm pretty sure. And that's kind of what I said at the top. It's like, yeah, Brandt has been very good. He's skipping, but even if he was running and runs well, I mean, this looks like a really good field right now. But look, these are the races where we find out, okay, are they for real or are they not?
That's what's very interesting about this weekend is you've got in these juvenile races, you've got horses like Ted Nafi who just won off the screen. You've got that horse that just won off the screen. And even with the American Pharaoh, while they haven't really won off the screen, you got at least a couple of Bob Bafferts who have looked pretty good. And so it's like I'm mostly interested in the one at Keeneland and then this one. Like, will those performances live up to what they do on Saturday, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting to see, and I think it will dictate a lot of how they're bet, obviously, at the Breeders' Cup. But all right, let's go to the main event on Sunday now, and that is the Juddmonte Spencer Stakes Grade 1, 650K, 1.1/8 miles for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, and we have a showdown, Halterman. You've got Nitrogen at 5-2 versus Torpedoena at 8-5. Your reigning horse of the year. It's not a big field, and it certainly feels like a 2-horse race. Where'd you go?
Well, am I crazy? I'm going to go number 3, Nitrogen on top. I'm going to pick Nitrogen to beat Torpedoena.
Wow.
This is the first time I've picked against Torpedoena since the fantasy at Oakland Park. So
what could go wrong?
It's been a long time, right? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I used her, but I didn't pick her to win the Kentucky Oaks. I'm sorry. It's Kentucky Oaks. But since then I've picked her every single time she's entered. Hasn't let me down hardly ever. I think Nitrogen's the now horse. Give me the number 3 Nitrogen. I love this horse. I think she's the now horse. Give me the 3.
Man, I listen, it's between those two. It's not really a crazy thought. I love Nitrogen. You know that. She beat Good Cheer last out. I don't think Good Cheer is very good anymore. I don't know what's happened to her. She's shown, that wonder again that day. That's kind of what triggered the dirt performances. No doubt. I think it's a great spot for her. I think she deserves to be in this spot. And honestly, I hope they run her in the distaff. I don't think she's beating Torpedoena in this race here. I just think she's the class. Oh, by the way, Hernandez isn't the jockey anymore. He's got hurt. Who do they get? They get Pratt. Okay, yeah. So that's okay. Pratt gets the Ferrari. Now I'll say that the Ferrari does have some miles on her now. So that is the concern. I understand where you're at with that as well. With that said, she's won the last 2 races. And, the last one got a little close. I'll give you that. But I think she'll sit a nice pace here off of do you think who did you decide who would be on the lead? Do you think it's Nitrogen?
Great question. I think it's going to be Nitrogen.
Because Torpedoena is faster. I do believe that. But will she want to because sometimes we've seen in the past, Hernandez just be like, hey, we're going,
Mm-hmm.
And then other times he'll sit off. Drawing to the outside of her with a less experienced horse, you almost think that Pratt might be like, all right, let's put a little pressure on you and see what you want to do, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think it's going to be very, very fascinating how it unfolds, because I think it could go either way. One's going to go the lead and one's going to sit off. It could go either way. It could flip. I think losing Hernandez might be a little bit of an issue. I know they get Pratt aboard, but boy, Hernandez has rode that horse awfully well. And I love Torpedoena. She's probably my favorite, if not my absolute favorite, one of my favorites in training. I just don't think she's been as good this year. I thought she ran very well. I have nothing to knock her last time out up at Saratoga. I thought that was a hell of a race. You could say she was lucky to beat Darth Vader, though. I mean, we were sitting right there on the wire and we weren't sure. We thought Darth Vader may have won it. I have more respect. I like Darth Vader, but I have more respect for Nitrogen than I do Darth Vader. I just feel like it's it could be Nitrogen's time to get the job done here. I really do. I think Torpedo Anna has been hard pressed to get back to that elite looking race. The closest thing this year was that race last time out. It was very, very, very good. Could that have taken a little bit out of her? You know, when she ran an elite race in the Travers, took a lot out of her. She almost lost the cotillion against much weaker horses. I think it's Nitrogen's time. I'm going to go mild upset.
All right. I've got Torpedo. I don't think she's good enough to get the job done. I like Nitrogen a lot. If she does beat Torpedo Anna here, what does that do for the distaff? Because to me, that makes it. I mean, obviously Nitrogen would be going to the distaff because this is a win you're in for the distaff, and I think that's the plan anyways. But what does that do to Torpedo Anna? I mean, I assume they would still run her there, but that would set off some interesting kind of implications as well.
Big time. Yeah, I think it's going to be a wide open looking race if Torpedo Anna gets beat here. I as far as the distaff goes, I just want to see both of them run well. You know, whoever wins or gets second, or maybe hopefully they finish 1-2. If they don't, then you kind of maybe toss the one that gets third, fourth, or fifth. But yeah, I really just want to see a good effort from both of them. I certainly would not be afraid to play Torpedo Anna back if she loses here, depending on the circumstances, and the same with Nitrogen. But if Nitrogen beats her in the spot, it may be Seismic Beauty who's the favorite in the distaff.
That's fair. Oh, if she gets beat, for sure. You know, and to reverse it, a horse that's got a lot of you know, has got a lot of hype in that being Nitrogen gets, and nothing you said is wrong, meaning like she's super now horse. If she she loses and runs second, say, but not, you know, Torpedo Anna just kind of exerts her class a little bit. Do they still go distaff with her? Like knowing that the horse that you kind of have to beat, you couldn't beat, you know what I mean? Or do they somehow go back to the turf, or, you know, whatever that looks like?
Let's assume she loses by like a length or two, right? Doesn't just get waxed. I would stay on the dirt with Nitrogen because while the Breeders' Cup distaff will be hard to win if she loses here, no question about it, it'll be easier, in my opinion, than going back to the turf as a 3-year-old, trying to beat all those likely European runners, try to beat some horses. At least one, you lost the turf on the turf last time you tried it.
Yeah.
Assuming Nitrogen wins or only gets beat by a length or two and looks competitive to Torpedo Anna, I think you keep her right here on the dirt. Now, if she runs poor, you might just say, we'll look at next year. You know, I don't think the turf is an option for the Breeders' Cup for Nitrogen.
Because the reality is she's not as good of a horse as Nitrogen is. And I mean, listen, she's a great horse. She has never won a grade 1 on the turf, right?
Yep.
I mean, so there's that, right? She's damn close. I mean, the Breeders' Cup she ran very well and lost, and the Belmont Oaks she ran well and lost, but she didn't win. And she has whatever you think about the Alabama, you know, as far as who is in it and whatnot, it's a grade 1. She won it, you know, and so, you know, I do think you're right, and I think, listen, she's a classy ass horse, so I do think she'll run well. Even if she loses, I could see them making another shot against her. So, yeah, this is gonna be a fascinating race because I do think the implications, regardless of who wins, the implications are going to be there for both parties in Torpedo Anna and Nitrogen. Do you? I guess the other I should ask, like, do you any interest in anyone else here?
Not really. No, I just feel like if one doesn't run well, the other one will win. You know, Celia is a horse I've liked for a long time, but she's kind of, I don't know. She's just not in form really anymore. So I don't like anybody else. No.
I mean, really, other than one race, and that was 3 races ago in the Law Terrain, Torpedo Anna has never not ran well, right? She's finished second in the other 2 starts. One of them was the Travers, where she got beat by Fierceness, and Fierceness went on to almost win the Classic. So she's never not ran well, even in the races, the 2 other races she lost. Now the Law Terrain was so bad, and obviously she's come back to win the next 2, that you almost just say that whatever, something happened. Don't know what happened, but something happened. And so really it's hard to even think, even if she doesn't win, she's not going to run well, right? And
100%. Yeah. La Terrain, I just tossed that out. Travers. And by the way, if she runs her Travers race, she will win by about 10 in this one. But she really has never ran that kind of race other than that day. You know what I mean? So while the other races have been really good, that was on another kind of level.
I'll go as far to even say unless Nitrogen runs better. And again, then Alabama is a 1.25 mile race. So the race where she looked insanely good, again, that was in kind of the slop that day in the Wonder game, that was in mile. So anywhere in between there, she probably runs a little bit better. But I think unless she runs better, either one of those last two efforts, even the Personal Ensign and the Fleur de Lis, would be enough for Torpedo Anna to I wouldn't say easily win, but do it comfortably.
I think she will beat the Fleur de Lis Torpedo Anna. I don't think she'll beat the Personal Ensign Torpedo Anna. That's where I'm at with it. I think she'll beat the Apple Blossom Torpedo Anna. Azeri. I think she's better than Torpedo Anna in those races. But yeah, the race last time out was really, really good. I think Nitrogen is good enough to make a race of it, make it close. But some of these other races that the Torpedo Annas ran this year, I think Nitrogen will beat her because I do think Nitrogen's getting ready to run an improved race. I think this will be her best race on the dirt so far.
Well, you can't ask for a better race. You can't ask for a better measuring stick race because, like I said, other than that one effort, Torpedo Anna has been the definition of consistent and just kind of a standard effort every single time. And so if you want to see where you stack up with the best of the best in that division, this is it, right? It's a short field. There's not a lot of issues as far as traffic and things, pace and those natures. You both are two of the faster horses in the race. You should be very much kind of up front the whole way and really to see who's best. And so it's going to be a hell of an effort, hell of a race, I should say, and see which one has that biggest effort on Sunday and what it means for the distaff. But I'm Torpedo Anna. Halterman is on Nitrogen. I'm slightly surprised you picked her.
Yeah, I just
did you think of that going into it?
No, I didn't really have a thought one way or another going into it, and I don't know. I love Torpedo Anna, and again, it's no slight on her. I haven't loved any of her races. I thought the last race was her best race this year for sure, and maybe she's come into form and she's going to run another one just like it. And if so, well, she's going to win at 2-5, whatever, right? But I just think the price is right on Nitrogen, and I think she's a horse this year can be just as good as Torpedo Anna. That now, the Oaks, the Acorn, the Travers, she's not beating her with those kind of efforts. But I just haven't seen that this year.
Yeah, we'll see. She's been a horse that has been able to step up her game when she needs to, right? I mean, for the most part, even when she clearly maybe was tired, she's been able to. So we'll see if Nitrogen gives her that test. Like she in the Travers, she looked beat. I mean, she was beat obviously, but she looked like she was not gonna kind of really sniff fierceness, and then she just dug in, right? And like you said, it took a ton out of her when she did that.
That's why that La Terrain was so shocking,
right?
That clearly something, I don't know what happened, and they don't know, but it's clearly something happened because you throw back to the Cotillion last year. That was an ugly race. She was not on her game, but she fought it, right? And she was able to win because she's just that's what when people say, "Oh man, this is a classy horse," that's the example of it. Like a horse that's not at their best and they still win. Yeah. The La Terrain, she just quit, right? And so that's just an outlier because, like you said, even when she doesn't win those other races, she's trying.
David, 746. I mean, I don't know. Someone do the math for us, but I think how old will we be when we get to 1,000?
Oh boy, that's gotta be.
So that's like 250 more. We do approximately. What do we do? I mean, 52 weeks, but
60.
We do more than once a week. So I'd say maybe 70, let's say on average a year. So 7, 14, 21, 4 more years, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got more. I got 4 more years than me.
Yeah, I don't know how many past that, but I do have 4 more, I think.
I mean, shit. We did a big. What was this? Was it 600? We did the celebration.
Yep.
We're gonna. I mean, 1,000. Man, we got hire strippers and all kinds of shit.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, listen, Heather's got to be on board. It's for 5. It's 1,000.
I think she could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, strip?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh! I just meant like on board with the idea. I didn't mean her actually do it. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. I don't.
Okay. I should get her. Let's ask her. No, she's not over here.
Oh man, appreciate it, David. And that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I mean, I don't know. We should do like a little test one day when we like one of the big shows we have where we have a ton of people in here. Like, who has like who's the furthest? You know, who remembers how far back do some of these people go?
I know Evil Steve goes back to the very beginning,
which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And he actually texted me the other day. We were talking and he said, I still listen to every single one of them. So shout out Evil Steve if you're listening.
That's what's so cool about our show is we do have a ton of people, obviously 300 plus live right now. Sometimes it's up to 1,000 or more on the bigger shows. And that's great that only watch us or listen on our YouTube channel. But we also have a huge following and probably more following on the podcast version, which that is the Apple podcast, you know, the ones that you listen to on your phones and things of that nature, because that's how it started. It wasn't on YouTube how it started. It started on, being pushed out to the podcast platform. So we kind of have the variety of listeners. I will say this, if you do listen to the podcast version, you do get a little more kind of editing, meaning there's sound effects and there's if we talk about a horse race, say, or like, for instance, we talked about Rebels Romance earlier, I'll probably throw in the stretch run call of Rebels Romance in post there. So there's some of those aspects, and then if there's some nonsense that we kind of are talking about, I'll usually edit that down a little bit. It's a little more polished, I guess, is the best way to put that.
Yeah, there you go. And that said, it's weird because that's what we used to do all the time. We didn't have YouTube and live shows, but yeah. I remember Borat from the paddock. David says, yeah.
I've tried to forget that actually.
We've had some fun. The bull shots, obviously, that's a fan favorite for a lot of people.
And what's great about, Borat was kind of planned. Not by us, but definitely not by us. But the bull shots was just a drunken thing that Samich did, and his lazy ass couldn't find a cup, and he wound bowls and
put him in the bowls. Yeah,
and no one was in the right mind to change it. So that's what we did.
I remember so many. So many people came up to me at the Breeders' Cup that next day. I was like,
"How you feeling?
How you doing? You okay? You feeling all right?" What? One guy, I've never.
That's like a big show. It was like a Friday after the Friday show or whatever after the Breeders' Cup. So people are tuning in for the recap plus the preview for Saturday.
Yeah. Well, no, what it was the Thursday show.
Okay, so it was even more. It was everybody's tuning in to see what we're picking.
And then what happened was everybody tuned into the Friday show because that was right after the Modern Games incident, and so people are on there and like, holy shit, he's sober and he's mad. Because if you go back and watch that one,
you were hot. Yeah.
That ruined my entire day.
Yeah, because you liked him more than any of us did. Like heavy.
He was my best bet of the entire 2 days. Well, Nick's go and then him. And I was single and alive to over like $2,000 with him in pick 4s and pick 5s. Of course, I had the win wager, all this stuff. And it all went away, and I had to watch him win like I thought he would, which is hard enough to do in this sport to actually, hey, here's a single, and they win like a single. That's tough. Got to see it with my own eyes. Got to see $2,000 plus right there, and I didn't hit anything because he ran for purse money only. And since I was single to him, all I had left was the post-time favorite.
Which was not a good favorite.
Who I had like 7th or 8th in the race as far as how I had him ranked. And now I'm rooting for this horse who I hate
Yeah.
because I didn't use anybody else.
Wasn't it like a McPeak? No, that was a horse that actually won the race, or it got second, who they gave the race to or whatever.
Yeah, I can't even remember.
The horse that you're talking about was not a good
It
favorite.
was from Naira. I think I want to say like Gargan or Weaver maybe had him, and that could be totally wrong. But it no disrespect to whoever, I can't even remember the name of the horse, but I just didn't like the horse, and I just, it was sickening. It was absolutely sickening.
I was gonna say something about that that whole
Yeah.
no, but yeah, not to go back to that a little bit. Like I whiskey is my drink. Like if I'm drinking like liquor is whiskey. I love whiskey. I can drink it. Tis the Bomb is Chris is who like quote unquote won the race.
Yeah.
Got second to Modern Games, and it was not a close second. But we're talking about who was the horse that was like I'll tell you, I got it right here. It was Dakota Gold.
Dakota Gold, which I think was a New York bred, right?
He finished like 5th. I mean,
yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a New York bred.
And he was pretty clear favorite. I mean, after Modern Games, obviously, but
he had won that. It may have been the Pilgrim, maybe, or he had won the New York race, the Prep.
He wasn't like. I remember liking him more than you did, but I certainly didn't like him at that price. So I think everybody felt sick during that race because even if you liked Dakota Gold, you were stuck with him at a very short price, shorter than you would have liked. And, and like for someone like you who didn't like him, you had to root for him because you were single to a very logical horse.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was just, it was just gross. And so, yeah, like, okay, Tis the Bomb, Dakota Gold. I'm trying to look up these other ones here.
Dakota Gold was not, I don't think he was. Oh, yeah, he was a New York bred.
Tis the Bomb, McKinnon, Grafton Street, Dakota Gold, Slipstream, Stolen Base, Portfolio Company. If I'm reading these, and I've never heard of these horses, a good reason. It was not a very good field, and Modern Games was a very good horse, right? And that's what made it even grosser because, again, if Dakota Gold happened to be the horse that I had to root for, but it could have been some of these other horses, and I wouldn't have wanted to root for them in the same amount. Like Tis the Bomb was not any good. If he was the favorite, I would have been just gross. Even though he quote unquote won.
Yeah,
you're still sitting there watching the race, feeling like shit. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
So there's only been 2 times at the track in my life where the crowd has been after a race. Has been 100% on the same side. And the 2 times where when Zenyatta lost, it was a very deafening silence.
Yep.
And you don't ever hear that at a track. There's always some people that are very happy, right? And because even the people that picked against her and had blame were not, you're still rooting for it. It was just a weird thing.
Yeah.
And then that one, when you had a very clear, everybody booing. I've never seen booing at a racetrack. And that's what you got, and that was just insane to be
I've
there.
seen Bob Baffert got booed, one of his horses.
Okay,
but I've never ever heard.
Wasn't that at Naira though?
Yeah, that one was.
Yeah.
But I've never heard the racetrack get booed. They were booing Del Mar. They were booing the Breeders' Cup, and it was the loudest boo I've ever heard. Geist Paddle was sitting there. He's a very calm, quiet guy most of the time. He stood up. He was yelling. You remember that because he loved that horse as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he was in the BCBC, so it screwed him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he was booing and going crazy. Like a lot of us. I mean, I'm singling him out because he's kind of a calmer guy that was upset. It was wild.
We had great seats too for that. We were like right there and like right on the stretch run. And it was down low in like kind of the suite area thing, and it was like in one of the boxes, and it was like you just knew like as they were coming across us, the second time you're just like, oh my gosh, oh no, you know what I mean? Like you just could tell like this horse is just rolling, and you're watching it take place, and you can't do anything about it.
And I don't want to misspeak because it's just it was Geist was in the BCBC, but I'm pretty sure he went all in on Modern Games there. because we were sitting there talking, and he liked him a lot. And then, of course, Samich liked him. I liked him. And he's like, man, you guys really like him this much. And he went back and bet. So it very well could have screwed him out of a lot of money. It's not funny, but it's just, it is, I guess, now looking back at it. But yeah. And that's the day a lot of people said to hell with it. And then the other problem was, of course, I gave these picks out on the whatever. I don't know if it was a betting Bible, but it was the racing guides that we would do. And then you have people emailing. I bet we got 15 emails that night going, I played the pick 5. I watched it. I saw the single one. I saw what we were alive to. Why did I not get any money?
Yeah.
And not only that, why did I lose? They're losing tickets and the horse won. And it's like, and then you explain it and you're like, you got a lot of new people that day. Obviously it's a Breeders' Cup, kind of like Derby. You get a lot of new people and they're like, why would I ever play this? This is ridiculous. It's like, I've lost you as a customer and I gave you a ticket that should have kept you forever as a customer. So it was a horrible day and a very sobering experience, right? I got on the next day and was like, I'm not hungover anymore and I'm dead sober. And I'm just mad,
By the way, I'm a whiskey guy. Love whiskey. Drink it. I could drink it straight on rocks or whatever. That Woodinville was the grossest shit I've ever had. I don't know.
I don't like it at all.
It was so bad. Like it's hard for someone to be like, let's get some whiskey. Let's have, whatever. And then be like, not just at least it'd be doable. Right. That one was just like, I can't even drink this.
Even that night as we were getting me for sure getting pretty bad, I still was having to choke it down. Like a lot of times when you get to a certain level, it's like, I can really drink anything. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That stuff was gross the whole time. I've heard of like some people kind of like it that I've talked to, but I just didn't like it.
Not a fan. Not a fan. Well, hey, and by the way, the doozy part of that whole story was that it was just an error. It was an admin error. It was not even.
No.
They scratched the wrong horse for half a second, and they had to take the horse off completely, not because of anything the horse did, not because of something the owners did or a trainer or some sort of issue they had. They entered the horse wrong, whatever. It was a horse. The wrong horse was accidentally scratched on the screen for the amount of time. And because of that, they had to keep him off.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yep.
There's so many ways you could have done that differently. And that was the part that was so bad. Nothing happened with the horse or the connections or anything was their own fault. And think about how they won. They won the purse, right? But they're there to win the Breeders' Cup, right? And those are big time connections. It's not like they don't need the purse money. You know what I mean? They're there for that horse to win that race and to just have it happen and be like, it's like betting a team to win like the Super Bowl or something. And they win, and you're like, I saw it. I know they did. They won the race, and then or won the game, and you're like, but unfortunately, you had to be picking the other team because of that.
Yep.
You're like, well, that sucks,
It's the worst I think that's ever happened. There's been some bad, but that was just brutal. And it couldn't have happened on a September day somewhere,
Right.
It had to be the Breeders' Cup.
No. Well, just wait. It's been. I don't want to even say it. I don't want to put it out there in the atmosphere, but it's been that year, right, of those very questionable DQs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just wait when it happens at the Breeders' Cup, and we have one of those debacles that we have to sit through. I mean, it could happen.
It could.
It is at Del Mar, so
it is.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Check us out over at racingnews.com for free and premium selections. Remember, we talked about the major Breeders' Cup winner-in races for this weekend, but we'll have picks for every single one of them. Every card for Belmont, the Big A, Santa Anita, Keeneland, all those tracks, we'll have picks for every single race, not just wins, your exactas, your tries, the pick 4s, pick 3s, double, whatever you need. We have it over at racingdudes.com, so make sure you check that out. Again, go subscribe right now. You have the 14 trends to the Breeders' Cup coming out next week. You've got the Breeders' Cup Betting Bible coming out in the next week or two, or at least the preview or the pre-sale for that coming out. It's one of the biggest betting Bibles we do every single year. So you get those for free when you are a premium subscriber. We're on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram, Facebook. You can find all episodes again by visiting for Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page on the site, or just go to Apple Podcasts and make sure you look for Blinkers Off and listen to it there. Dudes You Bet was on last night. Magic Mike show will be on tomorrow. That's all I got. By the way, San Francisco is beating the Rams 14-0.
Holy wow. I'm shocked by that.
They went down and drove down and scored within 5 minutes to start the game, and then held Rams 3 and out. And then they put, I don't know what it was, so, couldn't really keep track, but it had to have been a 10-minute drive. 2 fourth downs. I think they went for, and they just got a fumble recovery. The Niners did. The Rams were driving. Stafford fumbles. It must have been a sack. I don't know. But now they're down 14-0. San Francisco has the ball.
Wow. I've been watching the baseball. I had no idea what's going on. That's crazy. Wow.
That's crazy. Crazy. Yep. They had a little bit of a drive going there. The Rams did, but yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see. Yeah.
Wow.
So much for it being a blowout.
In the NFL, that's tough to come back from. That's going to be interesting. Wow.
Well, especially with a team like the Niners, who, they're not going to get real cute with it. They're going to dink and dunk and run the ball because they don't have a lot of weapons other than McCaffrey.
No.
And Mac Jones throwing the ball. So, and, well coached. So we'll see what happens. But yeah.
Wow.
Tune in Thursday Night Football. All right. Anything else for us, Halterman?
Nope. That's good.
It's almost a 2-hour show. So I say it's going to cut us off.
By the way, Mac Jones, 11 of 13, 131 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And Stafford, 3 for 5 for 24 yards and a fumble.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I didn't see that play. I'm just watching the play-by-play, but I don't know what really happened there. But yeah,
crazy
fumble credited to him. So, who's OU got this weekend?
We have a really tough game this week. Kent State.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yep.
The homecoming game.
I guess. I don't know.
Bullshit game.
It's college. I don't know about homecoming.
All right, just gonna do it. I'm gonna call it. We're off here again next week. We'll go over a lot of the Breeders' Cup implications that we saw this weekend, and again, we got 3 podcasts between now after that are kind of previewing, building up. See if maybe John White will be on one of those, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Breeders' Cup. And as these fields start to really take shape, man, it's really every podcast between now and then is just kind of, it's like the build up to the Kentucky Derby. So.
Yep.
Buckle up. All right, guys. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.